Hi, this is Kristen. Welcome to another process video, and today I'm working on day 28 of 31 Days of Cutfiles. And the cut file is this window scene. You could either have it assembled to where it looked like it was from the outside of your house looking in, or from the inside of your house looking out. And so I'm going ahead and coloring this mortar, at least what I look as mortar pieces, in Fossil. So it's 49 in Market ink. And then I'm going in with salted caramel. I had initially started doing a brick color. That's why you see one of those pieces red. And then I decided, I'm like, my house is brown, so it wouldn't really make sense to have it brick. So I changed it. I wasn't sure exactly if I was going to use all the pieces, but I went ahead and just colored them as if I was going to. Decided that was a little bit too brown, so I end up going in with some Fossil and just combining those two colors to kind of make it a little less brown. I obviously wanted a little differentiation between that and the mortar between those pieces. The cat, I ended up doing that in Off the Rails, which is kind of like a dark gray, almost black color ink. And then I go in with this branch scene here. I use some salted caramel. I do end up using Fossil on it. And then later on, I don't know if I showed that part, the pieces I kept holding it up to the piece of paper. It was kind of blending in. So I do go in with Off the Rails to kind of make it look more like kind of shadowy. I am going to use Cider and Donuts. And I'm documenting a couple pictures of my son looking out the window. It was during fall, and he was actually using the one of our cat trees to kind of get up there and relax and look out. So I was going to try to do like kind of a fall scene outside the window, but this branch kept kind of blending in and I liked it. So I wanted to try to work it in. So you'll see me pulling in some different papers. And again, this was another layout I was trying to kind of somewhat finish in a reasonable amount of time. So I've got a ton of ephemera for this line. I end up just pretty much using cardstock stickers, and that was it on it, because that's what I felt like pulling. And quite honestly, with kind of the things going on at home, it was kind of all I had the energy for, I guess. So I did leave the curtain white because the curtain actually at that window is white. So I just figured I'd leave it as is. I settle on this green paper. It's got like little white flowers in it as my background. So that's what I'm going to adhere the branch and the window to. And then I'll kind of get everything else assembled and then fussy cut it. So I decided I wasn't sure if I wanted this to be an indoor or an outdoor scene, but I kind of wanted to use at least some pieces of this. So I decided I'll just do like kind of a stone facade over the top of the window and then still put the curtain in there. And I mean, I guess it doesn't make a ton of sense because really I was kind of more recreating this as if you were looking out the window, but I liked that stone facade piece, and so I figured just work it in and whatever. that's kind of been my attitude this week, is just just don't overthink things. For me, this has been with like kind of the things going on at home, of course, with the house fire and stuff. I mean, it wasn't a huge fire, so I don't want to thankfully it was caught very soon, but scrapbooking is kind of like a little bit of my retreat away from some of that. It kind of lets me calm my mind and kind of quiet down. So I wanted to at least get in there and do some of this week just to kind of help me relax and de-stress a little bit. So, but again, I wasn't, I don't know, I was trying not to overcomplicate my layouts. Sometimes I can overthink them and take a lot of time on them, but quite honestly, I was kind of just wanting to get in there and play around and, not think too much. So I put the little cat over here by the curtain. And looking at it, I almost wish I would have left the stone off of it, but it is what it is. I think it looks fine. was trying to figure out what exactly how my layout was going to be. Like once I kind of got to this point, I was like, well, I really don't know what I want to do with this. I had quite a few scrap pieces of paper. So this thankful piece, I liked how that looked behind his photographs, and I honestly didn't really feel like mounting them. So I was wanting to try to get some paper that was going to stand out from the background to almost make it look like his pictures were kind of somewhat mounted. And so I found this black and white paper, and it says give thanks. So I thought that was really cute. And I wouldn't probably do like a lot of Thanksgiving layouts. I mean, we take some pictures during Thanksgiving, but I feel like really you could use the give thanks for anything. So it was going to kind of just be centered around being thankful for him and who he is as a person. So I had a couple of these strips of paper that were left over, so I figured make it kind of look like a faux square, because obviously I didn't have the full paper and I didn't want to cut into another paper. Really with this, I was trying to kind of use up scraps and, kind of keep it simplistic so I didn't have to do a lot of cutting. And then with that window and that other piece of paper, it obviously disguises the fact that those are two incomplete pieces of paper. I've seen a lot of people do that, and that was honestly something I never really thought to do before, but thought it was a really smart way to use up some of your scraps, and that way you didn't have it, those because those are decent sized pieces of paper. It's just, a lot of time, what are you going to use like little rectangular pieces for? And then I had this little strip of blue striped paper. And so I cut it in half, and I'm going to work it around this square piece here that I'm adhering down. So this layout actually came together pretty quickly, aside from kind of the coloring and the cutting of it. Probably really getting the Cutfile cut and colored and all that was probably the longer process, which really even then, didn't take that much time. But I'd say this layout took me maybe, 30 minutes, 40 minutes at the most to complete, which for me is really quick. So I'm gonna put this little window piece over here and then start getting the photographs adhered down. And I was going to try to work these pieces and just kind of scattered around and maybe try to like build up my clusters with them. But after and you'll see, I kind of leave them on the page thinking maybe I would try to like kind of do clusters around them. I kind of was like, well, I don't know that you really get the point of that, of what those pieces are. Like it would have made sense if I'd built like kind of a whole outdoor scene, probably left the curtain off and done it that way. But I decided, the blocks just don't make a lot of sense on this, so I do end up pulling those off. Honestly, with every single cut file I've used, I've tried to use them completely as they were, cut out, or as they were designed, just to try to, think of ways to use things outside of my standard, typical thinking. So, but, sometimes you have to adapt cut files or paper or whatever to kind of your vision of the layout. So here's where I'm going to come in with the cardstock stickers. So comes in typically if you buy their pattern paper packs, they always come with the cardstock sticker. So you can either do, I think the collectors is always the one that has a little bit more ephemera to it. And I don't know what the one is where you just get the 12 by 12 paper and then it usually, I believe it always comes with the cardstock sticker set in it. So I pull in some floral pieces, the little chair there I set in front of the pumpkin. And then I really like this banner piece, so I was trying to figure out a spot for it without it taking away from too much or it being like a little bit too much on the layout. So I decided to put it up here just to add a little detail up at the top of the layout here. And since I've got give thanks and thankful and all that. I put thankful for you to kind of make that make sense. And then I like this Cozy Days sticker, so I'm going to put that, kind of tuck it in behind the pumpkins. And then I didn't really want to do a cluster on the bottom right part of the photograph. Oh, I pull out a camera here, kind of pop that up there just to make that look a little bit more dimensional up here. And then the bottom right, below the right picture, I was kind of like, I wanted to add something, but I don't want to really add a cluster per se. So I end up pulling different word phrases from the sticker sheet that I felt like were applicable to this layout in the picture and him. And I'm not sure what they all say. I think I pull in one that says thankful for you, so very blessed. Maybe one that says I love fall. I don't know. And I thought that kind of looked nice there rather than doing a cluster. I felt like that corner needed a little bit of something, but I didn't want to do like a full cluster. I'm going to pull in a couple of these hearts and get them worked on the layout as well, kind of going around those phrases. Again, just to add a little extra detail to this corner of the page. And I'm just looking on the sticker sheet to make sure there's not something else I really like on there. And I end up finding this little scarf that you'll see me pull in. And I decided to put it over this little cluster down here. And I thought that looked really cute. And here is the close-up shot. You can see my daughter's doll down in the left-hand corner that just appeared. I'm sure she'd come in to ask me to braid its hair or something. So anyway, so here are a few close-up shots. I appreciate you for coming by to watch another process video, and I'll see you again next time.